I want to talk today about not only one of my favorite lessons to teach in the classroom, but one of my students' favorites, and one of the things that they remember years later when they come back to my class. Let's talk about it now. But first, I want to talk about this idea that I came up with years ago when I was trying to think of a quick way to either introduce or review new ideas with my students. And that was to create children's picture books. It is a huge game changer for the students. We want to level the playing field and also challenge students. So I always have kids that don't want to do a project of any sort. They are really good at absorbing information and sort of just regurgitating it back onto a test, which is a gross way to put it, but it's the truth nonetheless. What we're finding though is that when we can level the playing field a little bit, the kids that aren't classic academic students, right? That don't want to just show up and read and put the answers on a worksheet and hand it in. That's not their jam. If they come from some sort of creative background, or that's really where they thrive, what you're doing here is creating an opportunity for students to really show up, to create some buy-in in the classroom, to create a moment where they can let their skills, their unique personality shine. We get started by it's really finding a platform that's going to be conducive to your students. And now look, I've used a lot of different platforms. Some of them aren't around anymore. Some of them were kind of a struggle to get kids into. And what you want is not something that the kids are going to have to try and figure out. For this project this year, we are using Adobe Creative Cloud Express. And one of the things I love about it from the jump is how intuitive it is. I do a lot of work on the computer, and I really appreciate when I'm on a platform that you can see exactly where things are when you have a thought of like, how might I resize this? How might I change the coloring in this? How might I add a piece of my own personality to this project? And where you look is where you generally find the thing that you're looking for. I'm really into this being able to remove the background from a picture, so you can literally put any picture of you or a loved one or your dog or whatever it is in there. I also think that the templates that are a part of this platform allow students to really not have to necessarily be a creative. Let's get into how we do this project. So the first thing that I do is bring a whole bunch of books to my school. It's bringing in a whole bunch of books and then trying different stuff in different classes, or letting kids pick books. Really helps when you think of how you're going to present this project, how you're going to read these books. So sometimes that is having the students sit on the floor. My co-teacher and I take turns reading to the students. Sometimes it's thinking about where you might do this introduction process. Sometimes we go down this really creepy, like Silence of the Lambs basement that we have in our school, and we read books down there. I have kids take these little tiny votive candles that I got at the dollar store. We go down there, we stand in a circle, and I read a story about the dark. Other times we'll go outside, we'll go into the hallway, or we just have the kids sit on the floor around us like they're in kindergarten again and read it. And I'm telling you, the kids love this. But it's important to think about how you're rolling it out and where you're rolling this out as well. I think one of the things that kids get the most stuck on is that they have to just start from zero. And one of the things I try to really encourage my students to do is to think about, do you want to tell a story? Do you want to teach a lesson? Or do you want to do both? And sometimes that can even look like picking your favorite book, right? So like, I think The Giving Tree is maybe one of the most depressing children's books that has ever been created. But what if you could create a sequel to that book, right? What if there was The Giving Tree 2 or whatever you want to call it? But it's thinking of something that you wish had been created, something you wish had been a sequel to a book that you had already read, or something that was maybe your favorite, maybe Goodnight Moon was your favorite book as a kid. And so now you're going to write the sequel to that. That's a good move as well. I also encourage kids to think about, what if a book was based on your life? What if there was a moment in time you went on a vacation, you learned a lesson the hard way or the easy way, you were shown love or grace, had a moment where you were trying to do something, and you could create a book about that. You're essentially creating a book about yourself. And when doing that, look, I think Oliver Jeffers, one of my favorite children's book authors of all time, he said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. I just love that idea because it allows kids to just kind of embellish, to add a little bit of flavor to what they're doing. So it's like, just because it happened just that way doesn't mean you have to tell it that way. You can change up some of the facts and create some more intrigue, some more flavor to what you're doing. Next thing you want to do is have kids organize their idea. And so one of the ways that I did that was I just went on to Adobe's platform, and on Creative Cloud, there's a search bar. And I typed in organizer, and all these great organizers come up. So you can just go through and create one that you love by just looking through what they have there and then trying to figure out what's going to work best, not only for this project, but for your students in particular. The students have an idea of the story that they want to tell, what it's going to be about. They've created their organizational tool. And now, what is the style going to be of what you're doing? And one of the things I love here is you could just look up a template and move forward with that, right? You could look up a template and add other things. You can change the font, you can add pictures to it, you can even add your own art or your own image. So like I said, you could take a picture of yourself, you could add it to the platform, remove the background, and then put it in any number of settings. Or one of the things I thought about this year was my daughter loves creating art, and so she's really into making things out of perler beads is one of the things at the moment, or painting on rocks. She likes to paint characters from TV shows that she loves on different rocks that we find in the neighborhood. And so if you had a kid that created a piece of art, like they did a drawing of an anime character or something of that nature, you could take a picture of something that your students created, remove the background, and now that becomes the character in the book. You don't have to recreate the background. You can just use Adobe's backstock of tons of images and illustrations and all the great stuff that exists on there, and then input your personal art into it. And that's a really fun way for kids to personalize what it is that they're doing. So if I take perler bead, that project that my daughter made of my one-eyed cat Pocky that we got for Christmas, Pocky is now a character in the story, and I can move her around. I can have her on a park bench. I can have her in space. I can have her, I don't know, hanging out with a bunch of dinosaurs. Whatever it is that we want to do, you can add those things to this as well. The other great thing when you start picking, say like a particular background or an image that you want to use, what Adobe's going to do is also offer you other images in that same style. They might even have that same particular like cat astronaut, but here's that cat astronaut in several different positions. So you can keep moving it around, and you maybe flip the image, maybe move it around. You can just crop in on the head. You can just show the feet. But what you're doing in those moments is you're taking something and Adobe is saying that, look, we have all these other images that you can use as well. One of my other favorite things on here is they have the section where you can pick out different illustrations. And the illustrations are so fun, and you can just find just about anything. If you want dinosaurs or cats or robots or pictures of hands. I mean, there's lots of pictures of hands. I mean, you could just literally find just about anything that you're looking for. For kids that don't feel particularly creative, this is a good way for them to find something that's in a style that they like. Maybe they could not ever draw themselves, but it also allows creative kids to kind of let loose, to find all kinds of stuff, to start overlapping, to start using different overlays, different effects. And that's a really fun and exciting way for them to get excited about what they're doing as well. So now you have your story, you have your illustrations picked out, and now you have to put it together. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this, right? You could create these and you can share them. One of the great things that Adobe's Creative Cloud is doing is they have a video section on here. So kids, from the safety and comfort of their own home, that sounds like a commercial right there, from the safety and comfort of your own home, they are able to create their pages, then they can upload them and create a video out of it. They can put a voiceover on it so that they are the ones that are reading the book, or maybe even have someone else. If your grandfather has a really great kind of radio ready voice, or your dad or your mom, or you want to have your little brother or sister because you think it would be more fun to do it that way, to have a child reading a children's book, you could do that. You can add music onto the back of it, and then it's making your whole project come alive. And when we present in class, you don't have to stand up and present anything. We can just play your video of this book that you created, and that becomes a really fun and exciting way to present these. And then look, when they're done, they can post them right to Google Classroom. They can post them right to your Google Drive. What Adobe's done here is really created something that is fun, that is exciting, and that stops teachers from having to like go on and learn really complicated sites, but something that's simple and intuitive. Literally, I'm rethinking all the projects from this year that I could create using Adobe Creative Cloud Express. So look, gang, I would really love to know in the comment section, how could you use Adobe's product to sort of take creativity to the next level in your class as well. And look, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. We'd love to be able to help you out. You can also go over to our Facebook group, Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook. And it's a closed group just for educators. No one's trying to sell you anything. No one's trying to convince you. Well, there might be some convincers in there, but it's a really great space for teachers to be safe and to grow into the teachers that they're called to be. Everything else you can find at realrapwithreynolds.com, like the book and mentoring and all this other stuff. And that's it, everybody. Until next time, peace.